What does one say to an ancient Nephilim ghost?
I suppose you start with...
How do I get out of this chicken shit outfit?
Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen.
What's going on YouTube? It's Filthy and we're back with another video. Super excited. Today we've got our first Diablo IV build guide. We're of course playing the D4 beta. On the Sorcerer class, this is going to be a Hydra build guide. It's basically just going to be up to like level 20, 25 to try and help you complete the beta, get your cosmetics unlocked for reaching level 20. And it's pretty strong compared to the previous things that I've seen. Really pleased to actually be able to bring you some of my own footage today, because whilst I've played previous versions of this beta, I've played other betas for D4, I haven't been allowed to record them. So this is brand new, which is pretty good. There is a chance to win a beta code on today's video if you comment FC SORC, so SORC. I'll put it on the screen. You'll be entered into a giveaway to win the final copy of the D4 beta. Really pleased that Blizzard have given me some codes to give away. I've spread a little bit of joy to the community, so that is kind of nice. I've also had to move the camera over to the left hand side because everything in this game is on the right hand side, and we don't want my face ruining the video and covering things up.
One ugly motherfucker.
Before we do jump in and take a look at everything, as always guys, a thumbs up brightens my day. The base has been a lot of fun. It's been technically very challenging. We've been dumped out, we've been in a lot of queues. It's been a bit of a mess. That's probably the subject of another video, I guess. But today we're going to go over a build guide, and yeah, the really pleasing thing is it's very strong, it's very tanky, it's very agile, and it's not item dependent. I've got 0 drops that actually really benefit the build, which is kind of nice. Now, previously on previous bases, I focused on Barb, Rogue, and Necromancer. I wanted to save the Sorcerer until this beta today. I wanted to save the Druid until the next beta. So the only class at this point I haven't put any serious amount of time in is Druid. What I would say is, from the version of the Necro that I played, the version of Barb, and also Rogue, Sorcerer is definitely stronger, the strongest out of all the classes that I've played. And the reason for that is it's got some hard-hitting abilities. It can do a lot of damage. It can do damage whilst moving, avoiding and running away. It's very nimble because it's got access to teleport. And it's actually really tanky. There's a few things in this build that really stack up the damage reduction, which means that playing on this high difficulty, even challenging monsters above our own level, is not necessarily too much of a pain. So primarily, most of the stuff comes from the skills, actually. So this is the skill tree. The way it works is we start off up here on the basic skills. We have to invest 2 points. We then connect to this node here for the core skills. We then have to invest some more points. I think it might be 3 to get down to defensive skills. And again, another 3 or 4 points or so to get to the conjuration skills. And then again, we have to go down to mastery. And then I'm only a couple of skill points away from unlocking the ultimate move. So we don't have that as of yet. And then again, further down, there is this kind of like passive node tree. Now, we are level 22, but leveling is not the only way to get skill points. You can get them for doing renown, you can get them from quests. So you will end up with a lot more than 25 skill points if you play to level 25. Obviously, your goal for the beta is to have a bit of fun, explore Sanctuary, but ultimately you want to get to level 20 to get all your cosmetics unlocked if you have pre-ordered. So starting with the basic skill tree, we've gone for the Firebolt. So we basically attack and it fires a Firebolt. It does not do a terrible amount of damage, but early on it is okay. It is going to be the only skill you have access to. I have not put any more points into it, so just the one to unlock it. And then the way skills work is you are forced to take the next node. So this one pierces through burning enemies. But after that, you then get a choice. You can go for generate 2 mana when hitting, or you can go for critical strikes, increase burning damage. Now, actually, I haven't invested in Firebolt. I'm probably going to take this one here to generate 2 extra mana when hitting a burning enemy. And basically, the Firebolt actually activates the burn, so it deals 30 damage and burning damage for 122 over 8 seconds. So this is kind of a source of burn. So it pierces through stuff when you hit it again, basically. So the first hit will activate the burn, and then the second one will go through. So I'm going to unlock this node now because I want to get some extra mana into my build. Moving down onto the core skills. Again, I haven't tested all of these, but looking just at the raw numbers, the damage of Fireball is very high compared to Frozen Orb, very high compared to Ice Shards, and it's got a really nice big AoE. So if you've ever played Diablo 2, Fireball, Sorceress is pretty much the way you go early on a lot of the time. You hurl an exploding ball of fire, dealing big damage. And basically I have put some points into this, so we've got it up to 3 points out of 5. So again, we could put a couple more in here for some more damage. We've then unlocked the next node, which increases the radius based on distance traveled. So the further away you are, the bigger your fireball when it actually hits something. Can we hit this wall here? No, we can't. When you hit an enemy, the radius basically is bigger the further away you are. Now we've also unlocked, it does another 10% damage, burning damage to enemies that have got burn applied as direct damage. So the idea is that you can hit with your firebolt, causes the burn, and you can do some extra damage with your fireball. We are also going to be selecting Hydra, which does have a burning modifier on it as well. So provided something is being hit by either or other two damaging attacks, two main damaging attacks, the fireball is doing extra damage, which is nice. You can see here we've got Ice Shards 1 out of 5. We haven't selected this, we haven't put any points into it, but one of our items is granting a +1 to it. And one thing that is interesting about the gear for the D4 is that you don't necessarily have to unlock the skill to use it, I don't think. So we could, I think, drop this on the bar, yeah, like that. And that's kind of cool because in previous versions we have had to actually unlock the skills even if we found items with plus to that skill. On the core skill, we've also taken Potent Warding. This is basically giving us 2% all res when we do a non-basic skill. So after we fireball, we get an increased res. It's not massive.
That's what she said.
I've just picked it just to kind of see how it goes. We do get extra resistance for fire whenever we use fire or lightning or cold. We've only actually got, I think, 3 elements in. We've got lightning, cold and fire, so theoretically after using those we should get a little bit more resistance. Moving down to the defensive skills, teleport is a really good skill to unlock. It means that we can do that and basically get ourselves out of trouble, which is really cool. It makes it very nimble, it makes a tremendous sound effect, and it's a lot of fun to use. We've actually picked up an item with +1 to teleport on as well, which is why this is blue, because it says at the top here, item contribution 1. It's on a fairly long cooldown, so you can't spam it. Again, as the game opens up, we'll probably get access to cooldown reduction, we'll get access to items that will help this out. But at the moment, it's basically just a kind of defensive thing, or maybe cut a corner across a map or something like that. I have basically taken the nodes to decrease its cooldown, so because it does a little bit of a zap of lightning, not much damage at all, but what we've done is we now can take the cooldown and reduce it by up to 3 seconds, which is kind of handy. Also, we get 30% damage reduction for 5 seconds after teleporting, so again, if you think you're about to take some damage, you can teleport and it will give you this extra damage reduction of 30%, which is very, very nice. We've actually taken Ice Armor as well. This is a pretty good skill actually, to be fair. 20-second cooldown, we get a barrier of ice around ourselves for 6 seconds. We absorb up to 30% of our base life. So when we pop this, we get this like quite big shield. Combined with the other damage reduction we have, I tend to find that the shield doesn't really drop. So when it is up, we absorb enough damage to basically not lose any health, which is nice. Obviously 20-second cooldown, it's not available all the time. Quite situational. I haven't unlocked any of the extra nodes for this, so you could do extra mana regen, 25% could be interesting. And then we can do more damage against vulnerable enemies. That adds to Ice Armor's barrier, so it basically makes the shield bigger. And then we've got enemies hit whilst Ice Armor is active, but 15% chance to become frozen for 3 seconds. So again, that would be kind of nice for a bit more defensive utility. You could pop your Ice Armor, and then anything you hit after that, you've got a 1 in 6 chance of freezing it, which is a pretty good crowd control effect. We get to Conjuration Skills, and this is where the big bulk of our damage is coming, which is Hydra. We maxed this out with 5 skill points inside it. We found no plus Hydra gear so far, a little bit unlucky. The Hydra does loads of damage. We get 4 heads because we have the next node unlocked, which is when we're healthy, we gain 1 additional head. The default Hydra does 3 heads. This node takes it up to 4. So that's like 33% extra damage, moving from 3 heads to 4, which is pretty cool. Gone for the burn effect on the Hydra, so 12% of its base damage is dealt over 6 seconds. The burn obviously helps us do more damage over the Fireball, and there are some other things that we can take later on in the skill tree to up burning damage. So again, that's maybe something we can play around with a little bit later. Also, what I've done is take Align the Elements. You gain 5% damage reduction against elites every second you haven't taken damage from an elite, up to 50%. This is pretty powerful. The main mobs in the game aren't particularly difficult, but elites will hit you pretty hard. So if you can get 50% damage reduction on your first hit, that is going to be pretty handy, and it stacks up fairly fast. So provided you can dodge out the way, you can then get this damage reduction. It does also importantly count against bosses, and the boss encounters are much more challenging than general enemies, so getting that damage reduction is very nice. Putting more points into this seems to improve the speed that this kind of stacks up. I'm not sure that's worth the points, putting more in, so I haven't. And then what we could do is maybe go for Mana Shield. As we spend mana, we get 5% damage reduction for 5 seconds. Or using cooldown grants, again, more barrier, so we teleport and then we get a bit of a barrier shield. But honestly, I found that with the ice armor, with the damage reduction just simply from this single node here, that is enough. There's plenty of other nodes that we can take, like Lucky Chance, increase 5%. There's a few things you can do for your enchantment that roll off that. So if you are thinking of doing something like that, then that's quite a nice little node to pick up. But as I say, we have not done so. We can also do increased damage for each conjuration, but on the basis we've only got the 1 Hydra, I'm not sure if this is 4% because it's got 4 heads. It might just be 1%, so I've kind of left it. At the moment, I haven't taken any mastery skills. I did play with Meteor, but it sucked, so I took it off. Blizzard is another one I'm interested in taking, mainly for the enchantment rather than the actual skill itself. But basically, once we put the Hydra on, we started to do like insane damage. It does way more damage than anything else. Like Fireball was a really big damage increase when we got that. Hydra was like Fireball on steroids. It just hits really, really hard. And the great thing about it is you can pop it down. Unlike Hydra in D2, like Hydra in D3, you can then run around. The Hydra will be attacking stuff for you, so it allows you to do damage with the Hydra passively, whilst avoiding the on-ground effects, whilst avoiding boss animations and that kind of thing. And that's it, basically. That's where we've got to. Obviously, it's only early in the morning on the second day. We've played for about 7 or 8 hours. Unfortunately, 3 hours of that has been getting DC'd, getting lagged out, and sitting in queues. I'm really super keen to check out these ultimate abilities, really keen to have a look at these passives. So maybe combustion with some more burning damage would be handy. But as I say, if you're just looking to get up to 20, get your cosmetics unlocked, get the story done, this is a strong build. And as I say, it was certainly much easier to do it than on the Rogue and also on the Barbarian. Now, the enchantment system you unlock, I think at level 15, you have to go do a quest to do it, and that is how you get access to it. You go skills, and then you click skill assignment, and then at the bottom you can just simply drag any of these skills that you have. You have to have the skill actually here, can't be grayed out, you obviously have to have one learned, and then it basically gives you an enchantment effect. So we could have, spending 300 mana, we get a 5-headed Hydra for 5 seconds. I've currently been playing with Firebolt enchantment, damage from skills applied, extra burning damage over 8 seconds. I tried the Meteor, it didn't seem to go off very often because it is on a lucky chance hit, so you have to have a lucky hit first. Then when you do have a lucky hit, the game will roll you a 3% chance to Meteor. And my next skill point probably is going to go into Blizzard, and then I might put that on the passive, which is just every 15 seconds you get a Blizzard that follows you for 6 seconds, and that'll give you a chill and a defensive skill. We have missed a skill, I think, because we haven't talked about Frost Nova, which is here. This is absolutely fantastic as a 1-point wonder. We basically press it and it freezes everything in a fairly decent AoE. So that combined with the ice armor, combined with teleport, combined with the evade mechanic, combined with the damage reduction means that we can be pretty tanky even when taking on lots of enemies at once. Again, I'd like to put more points into this. Reducing its cooldown would be handy. That would help us out with crowd control. We generate mana when we hit, which could be useful for more fireballs. We could also make enemies vulnerable, so they take extra damage. Again, very handy for bosses. You'd have to get close, whack them with the Nova, and then you'd be doing extra damage to them. So again, that's another possibility. If we look at the items on the character, realistically, there's nothing exciting that we've picked up. So on a lot of different pieces, you can actually get plus skills. I think maybe in the version I played previously, it was only gloves and maybe helmets. But I haven't found anything with plus Hydra on. Anything with plus Hydra, plus Fireball. Basically, any of the skills that we're using would be super handy. We've got Firewall, we've got Ice Shards, nothing on the helm, and 1 to teleport on the boots. Boots are nice. An evade charge, some move speed, and teleport. They would be some really cool things to pick up. We have found some legendary items. The only one that does anything for the build is gain 20 primary resource whenever we heal 20%. And I would say putting a skull in my weapon, so finding a weapon with a socket and jamming a skull in, giving a little bit of life on kill, means that we're pretty healthy most of the time. So we do get our extra Hydra head out quite a lot, which is handy. We've got a ring here doing something for Charge Bolt. We're not using that. And then I've literally just completed the Vigo quest to get this, which is like an immunity bubble that pops up every 90 seconds for 6 seconds. Really random, can come in super clutch, can be completely useless. But again, not really doing anything for the build. And as I say, all of the legendary items that I've found so far, I've been buffing up other wizard skills. So you don't need any luck to get this completed. Now, obviously, I'm not saying this is the only way to play the Sorceress. We haven't sat down and tested all the abilities. I might try and make a second Sorc if I can. I might re-gear this one, reskill it once we do get to level 25 and there's not much else to do. I'll probably level the other classes first. Refunding is still pretty cheap at this point. So even at level 22, it's only 1400 gold to completely reset all the skills and go play with something else. We've got like just under 70k, so I can do many complete respecs, which is something that we might well do. As I say, maybe we'll get the ultimates and have a little look-see at those, and then once I've done that, we'll try and rebuild the character. It might be that the cost goes up exponentially, and obviously at some point in the main game, past 25, you're not going to be able to re-gear, re-skill up easily. But for the beta, realistically, I don't think it matters. You play with whatever you fancy to start off with, and then as you find items, as you get more levels, as I say, Hydra is definitely a big ticket item for the Sorcerer. Right, that is the video. I hope you've enjoyed the footage. I did struggle to capture footage because the game's been a little bit all over the shop, but hopefully there was enough to get you going. If you're going to play the beta next weekend, I wish you the best of luck with this build. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I've been the Filthy Casual. Good luck in the draw. Take it easy, guys. Peace.